What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Engadget Podcast. I'm senior editor Devindra Hardwar, this morning joined by podcast producer Ben Elman. Hey, Ben.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. This is a special episode because we already recorded like half of it. There's a really great conversation I had with podcaster and author Paris Marks. You may know him from a lot of his tech criticism stuff. He's doing a new data series, a new podcast series on data vampires or data centers, because they're real bad, guys. They eat up all our power. They take up all our water. Like it's getting bad. It's kind of a big problem. So that's a great conversation. We're not actually going to have that on the stream, but check that out on our live stream or on our the downloaded episode, the final episode. How is the chat doing? Good morning, everybody. People in Florida. Depro9, glad to hear you're okay. We have people from Florida. I already wished everybody good luck and everything in the Southeast last week. Feels like we're just doing it again. Or was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to worry about frequent commenter Buddy 305 Love, because I was looking at all the maps of where to evacuate to, and area code 305 near Miami. So Miami was actually fine. The
That's
very
surprising.
tip of the end of Miami and the Keys seemed to be okay. They were like tropical storm level bad, but then the entire middle of Florida up to basically the Panhandle was like an evacuation zone.
Oh boy. It's like a buzzsaw cutting through Florida. I see Tom Rogers also says thankfully they're safe. Yeah. This is, of course, the thing that happens, right, is that extreme weather starts happening and the conspiracy are like the government's controlling the weather. That must be it.
Okay, but why doesn't everyone control the weather?
Why doesn't everyone
When
control
there's
the
a
weather?
Republican president, why
Yeah.
don't they control the weather?
So you're kind of admitting weather issues are maybe man-made if you say that, and it's
Yeah,
so
that's
much fun.
true. That is true.
It's such a dumb logical pretzel. It really makes me annoying. Really makes me annoyed. Anyway, let's do some Q&A while we're here and fresh and bright with the chat. How are you guys doing? Does anybody have any questions for us? Anything happening? Treat this as an AMA section, and maybe some of these comments, some of these things will go into the podcast. We'll see how that all works out. But glad to see that the people we know in Florida are okay. The people we don't know, they wouldn't be on the live stream. So I'm hoping everyone's still okay.
Dev, do you want to put on a video of Subway Surfers just while we talk to chat?
Yes, Subway Surfers. Yes.
Yeah, we were just playing around with the possibility of putting videos on while we're in a little thing down on the corner. And so I was like, oh, what if the idea just popped up? What if we just put Subway Surfers? What if Engadget Podcast went full brain rot?
What do you mean Subway Surfers specifically?
Just video of
the
people
video.
playing Subway Surfers, because
Okay.
you see that so often on
No.
TikTok, where it's the video of someone playing Subway Surfers and then
Yeah,
also
yeah.
an AI voice reading an "Am I the asshole"
Yes.
post from Reddit.
You know what's funny is that I mean, let's do an official Subway Surfers thing. What's funny about it is that I just have not known the name of this game. I see the stupid thing over and over again, and it just, my brain just fully is not doing anything with it. No, and these are people commenting over playing Subway Surfers. Anyway,
Yeah.
please drop some questions in, folks. We want to know how you're doing. If you have any questions about the latest tech, your own stuff, let's know.
Oh yeah, Tom Rogers is asking about Prime Day buys.
Prime Day buys. We had a whole bunch of good ones. Definitely check the site, but unfortunately, it's all done, right? The sales are all done.
Yeah, I think they are, because it was only the 8th and the 9th, and it is October 10th as of recording. I'm always looking out for Anchor stuff. Last time there was a big Anchor sale. I'm not sure if it was even a Prime Day, but I ended up getting one of those Anchor 65-watt chargers that can just power my computer too.
Yes.
I bought
get the big chargers. Yeah.
I bought an official MagSafe thing for this MacBook, and now I kind of sort of barely use it, which is fine, but it's just so funny that the dream of charging via USB-C is actually that good.
It's
Like,
that
it
good, and
actually came to
also
fruition.
everybody should have one of those chargers. The new GaN chargers, the what is it,
Yep.
gallium nitride chargers, they're much smaller than they used to be. They can handle a lot of power. I picked one up, like, basically, I get them whenever they're on sale, and they come in varying amounts. If you just wanna do, like, a tablet in your phones, they're like $30 or so, or the 30-watt versions aren't that expensive. But if you bump up, you get the ones that can charge also laptops. Maybe not a gaming laptop, but most ultra portables. That's when I travel, Ben, like that is something I deal with. I use all the time. And then people sitting next to me at the airport are like, "Can I just plug into this?" And yes, you can. It's always been a great thing. Oh, I see we're sharing that thing now. Yeah, Subway Surfers. Okay, Subway Surfers. This is a thing from Throneful. Here's a stream from Throneful. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
we're just doing Subway Surfers. Okay.
Actually, it's kinda choppy, so I'm gonna cut that.
Is it
I don't know.
choppy?
Yeah, I don't know what's
On
going
my
on.
end, it looks good, but we're kinda testing
Oh,
out, like,
actually,
how we
no,
want
it
to.
it looks good. So, I'm looking at it through the mixer,
Mhm.
and it looks choppy, but now I am looking at it through, like, our YouTube stream, and it looks totally fine. So
Oh, man. Yeah, this is gonna be kind of a loose stream, folks. A says, "I have a iPhone 13 Pro. Should I upgrade to the 16 Pro? Do you care about those Apple Intelligence features? Like, that's really, it. Are you really hankering for that, super powered Siri, which is not even really gonna arrive until, early next year? I think the 13 Pro is a pretty good phone because you have the fast refresh rate, you have good cameras and like some zoom capabilities. So the thing I would say is look at your carrier because sometimes your carrier can give you a sweet deal where it's like if you do find something compelling on the new phones. um I mean, the new phones basically have the AI chip, which is kind of nice. Better camera stuff. You don't have the 5x zoom on the 13 Pro. 5x zoom is awesome, especially like I often find myself doing a little bit of the digital zoom too. Like I'll push to 10x if I need to, just to get a cool shot of like a hummingbird or something, and it works. It works really well. So check out your carrier deals. The only like the like algebra you're doing in your head is: do you think next year's iPhone will be more worth it? Do you want to save your phone and spend whatever resale value you can have on that thing? Was it, we don't know if it's called the iPhone Air or not, but the rumor is a super thin iPhone coming next year.
Mm.
May not be as powerful as the Pros, but may be a more interesting form factor for a lot of people. So
I mean, how
next year's gonna
more
be
interest
interesting.
yeah, but how
Yeah.
more interesting would a thinner phone actually be when
Yeah.
the industry standard is moving toward folding, either
Sure,
hamburger
sure.
or hot dog? Um,
Hamburger, hot dog.
ha
Have
hamburger or
you
hot dog?
have you held the new iPads, Ben, the iPad Pros?
No, I don't think I have.
It's one of those things where I pick it up because when I was at the Apple campus for WWDC, they all had it, of course. So they would hand it to us and be like, "Take a look at this thing." It's almost like, "Oh, you shouldn't exist. You are basically paper, yet you are an OLED screen." There's a weird sort of like impossibility to the new iPad Pros.
Mhm.
Not enough of a reason to buy them, but the way it looks and feels in your hands, it's pretty compelling. I do dream about like eventually getting one of those things. Yeah.
I mean, I like if you're talking about paper, I really like the idea of the entire, like, remarkable line of, e-ink tablets, and
Mhm.
I know that you can kind of do that if you put the right kind of, like, tactile, um, screen protector on
Okay,
an
not this.
iPad,
Yeah.
but, I don't know, it's not the same. I think it's not as distraction free.
Well, you've got a lot of that's true. You do have a lot of options now too. Like we are definitely intrigued. Hey, here's our YouTube channel. We're intrigued by like all the variety of things you could do now. Like now you can viably get a e-ink tablet that you can jot down notes on, and one that can do color too. Like that's pretty fascinating.
Oh, yeah, do we have a remarkable video review?
I don't know if we did one. Let's see. Let's just go to our channel. Where's our channel? Not my channel. Engadget's channel. We have a whole bunch of things. Any other questions coming in from chat? We've got some.
Simon B says, "What do you think we can expect from Elon?" We were actually talking about whether or not
Yeah.
we should mention this in the like audio version of the show, and I think the safest thing to do is just wait until the rubber actually meets the road,
Mhm.
because it seems like in the last few years, Elon has gotten to promising more and delivering less, even though he has been pretty famous for promising a lot and delivering a little over his entire career.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there's a reason to go like, wow, robot taxis, until there's an actual like first robot taxi ride that happens. What do you think?
Mhm. I think so, like, especially after I don't know what to think about a lot of this stuff, the things around, like, the Boring Company piss me off so much because, that was a whole idea is, like, he basically didn't like the idea of the California high-speed rail plan.
Yeah, and that came out like later on too.
Yeah, so but really the Boring Company's like, "I can make a hole, and, maybe eventually we could put things down it, but for now, we're gonna make a big ass hole, and we're gonna put, Teslas in it, right? We're just gonna drive Teslas through it," and that's I feel especially annoyed because, the construction of that thing has, like, interrupted our whole CES flow for a while, like, like, redirected traffic, and it finally opened in what is it? It's a dumb tunnel for how many people can fit in a Tesla,
Yeah.
basically, like, a supremely inefficient waste of money, that solves nothing because Las Vegas has some real transportation issues. It's he basically gave the city another monorail, but it's underground now. At least the monorail is somewhat useful, even if it doesn't go very far.
Yeah.
So I'm super skeptical about
He
this.
didn't even pitch it with a song and a dance like on The Simpsons.
Don't give him any ideas. Don't he absolutely
I mean, he
would.
was dancing this past weekend, wasn't he?
He was dancing. He was acting like a yeah. Yep. Back to the iPhone question. A says they do care about Apple Intelligence, and yes, get the new phones. Look up your trade-in offers. Look up competing carriers if you don't like your carrier. But you could probably get like $800 plus worth of value from a 13 Pro. Put that towards a new phone, and like when I got my wife an iPhone 15 last year, like a base level 15, we basically didn't pay anything because the trade-in value was just like good enough. I would also say definitely feel the difference between the 16 Pro and Pro Max because the Pro Max last year got a lot lighter because of the titanium stuff. So that's worth taking a look at here. The Pro
Meanwhile,
9.
I don't think I'm going to get anything for my busted 2020 era iPhone SE.
I don't know. I don't know. Have you ever done the sort of like value check? You could do
No,
that at your thing.
I haven't done the value check. Recently, I've been thinking like maybe I should just like throw another battery in this, because overall it still works as a phone,
It
and it
depends on
might
what you
be
want to do. Yeah.
yeah. Like, I don't know why I've been thinking about the idea of having a China phone recently. Like the idea of a phone that you basically only use if you're going to China, because
Mhm.
there's stuff that you might need to install on your phone while you're there, but you don't want it maybe like spying on the stuff that you do when you're back home. I've never
That could be
been
good.
to China. Why am I thinking so much about this?
Why are you thinking about this? By the way, this video is Steve Dent's review of the Fujifilm GFX 100S2 camera model names. Come on, calm down. Calm down. I know. This looks like a very nice camera.
I think D Pro 9 was talking to me when he said, "Bro, upgrade."
Yeah, bro, upgrade.
Yes,
You
I
should probably upgrade.
yeah,
Now is a good
I've
time
been
to upgrade
thinking
because you
about
got the new chip and all.
it. Yeah, and I mean, I really want to have a wide angle camera too. Like, it's
Yeah,
gotten to the point where last year I was looking around at apartments and I wanted to be able to send pictures to everyone that I was like looking with, and having a wide angle lens versus like having just the single lens on the iPhone SE, it would be really helpful. I
it would
do
be
really
super
like the
helpful.
home button, but it seems like the
No,
home button is going the way of the dodo anyway. The
that
next iPhone SE is like predicted to not have a home button.
that happened also like years ago. Like basically when the main iPhones that was iPhone maybe 11, but give it a year after the X
Yeah.
or after the 10. But no, Ben, you could totally do it. I think for you, given that you're not a heavy duty phone user, the base level 16 will be
Mhm.
fine. As we wrote, like that is a pretty compelling upgrade this year. And you
Mhm.
get the nicer colors. So that's
Yeah.
nice. That's fun. And you
Yeah.
lose a headphone jack, but you probably have AirPods.
Oh, no, I never had the headphone jack. The last phone I had with a headphone jack was, the first iPhone SE.
The
After that
SE2 didn't have a headphone jack?
no,
That is so
SE2 doesn't.
stupid.
No,
That
it
is
it didn't have a headphone jack, and so I already got all of the adapters and everything.
Okay. Any Prime Best Buys. If you guys see deals on TVs and monitors, by the way, I saw a few floating around. So now is a good time to look at that unless you want to wait for Black Friday.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about, getting a TV, but I also need, like, art on my walls and stuff. Like, look at how look frigging let's keep it
Freaking.
family friendly. Look at how sanitary my background looks. I have posters, I just haven't put them up yet.
I thought, Ben, you just live in a sanitarium. Like
No, I don't. No,
that's
it's just like, look at that big white
I've never
wall.
actually seen outside this room, so for all I know, Ben
Yeah.
is calling in from an
This could
asylum.
yes, this could be me streaming from an asylum.
Yep. Yep. TVs are good. This is a good time to upgrade your TVs, especially like OLEDs have come down in price so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the
Although, how
monitors.
much
Mhm.
have they come down in price? Is it, like,
Oh, a
from
crap ton, Ben.
thousands to, like,
Yes.
600 or what?
If you want a 77-inch OLED, you can
Mhm.
reasonably find a good one under $2,000 now, which
Oh,
is shocking to me. Like, just
okay.
given the price that OLEDs used to be, if
Yeah.
you want, like, maybe a more reasonable 55-inch OLED, closer to $1,000. If you want an 85-inch to I think even no, 85-inch TV, you don't actually care about the panel quality that much. It's just $1,000 now, and those were the base prices for that Vizio, I think.
Mhm.
So size, panel quality is getting better, overall quality is getting better. Even if you don't get OLED, if you get a mini LED backlighting, like that looks fantastic. I love Steve's videos. Steve Dent is over in France, and he shoots these all himself.
Oh, that's
So
great. That's
he's
cool.
a true cameraman. Okay, any more questions? Because we could just move on to the news and wrap
Yeah.
this show.
Deepro9 says, "Blank walls, blank brain." Yeah, that is kinda true. I do like being head empty, but, you need to have things to inspire you, maybe.
Well, now you gotta, because if this is your backdrop, you kinda have to frame yourself with something,
Yeah,
so,
that's
yeah,
true.
good luck. If you're in a small room, mirrors do a lot in New York apartments, just like a
Mhm.
well-placed mirror opposite the window. Pretend you're in a bigger space, That's always fun. Alright, do we have any other questions? Thanks, folks.
Nope, I don't think we have any other questions, so
Alright.
we can just move to other news.
I'm gonna intro the podcast and
Yep,
just, like, intro the Paris section,
yep,
and then we will skip ahead.
yep.
Ben painted green screen, that's actually not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
Although you don't need to paint it anymore because, like, the AI green screening stuff, like, works pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, and if my wall is one solid color, then
Yes.
why not just have it, like, put that in, yeah.
You should play around with that because if you upgrade to the new Mac OS, you get that. You get the AI processed Apple stuff, Apple background, so then you can have any backgrounds. Alright, folks. Thank you all for joining us and sitting with us. I feel like we should just do a coffee chat thing, some mornings. It's not just the main podcast thing.
Yeah.
This is super cool. Alright. And we're just gonna keep this tab open. We're gonna point to a few things. So, and
Yep.
I wanted to point to. Let me just see what is in our thing here. We're gonna talk about the Alarmo. We're gonna talk about like a bunch of the more interesting news. I want to talk about the Halo studio changing their name and also kind of
Yeah.
what that could mean. Okay.
I have some feelings, but I think I'm going to save it for the actual recording.
Okay. Fair. Okay. I could just put our links right in here, and then we go. Then we have a story. Okay. Ready to go?
Yes. Okay, yeah, I think we might be back.
Okay.
All right, chat, thank you so much for letting us know that the audio was bad because we could have just streamed the entire time and
Not
it
even
would have been
know.
terrible. Yeah, it would have just been garbage on YouTube.
Hey, I also would not be surprised if there's weird regional shit happening because of the freaking huge hurricane and everything we're
Yep.
dealing with. So
Yep.
Okay, sorry, folks.
Yeah,
We're gonna keep
live
going.
troubleshooting. You don't expect to see that on a podcast, or not on a podcast, on a tech podcast especially, but, hey,
I've
there
seen it
you
on
go.
many tech podcasts, so it's a whole. I remember when they used to do this on TV with Tech TV and everything. So
Yeah.
living the dream. All right, so I threw you a question
Yeah, you
about
threw me a
the
question, I know where to
yeah.
go with it.
Okay.
Um, so the thing that struck me in this article was that, of course, like Google's public policy head said, "Hey, this is going to stifle innovation," just like what you were saying with
Hmm.
maybe internet rolling out a little bit slower because it wasn't run by a monopoly. But the same logic has been used for saying, like, we can't not have workers work 12 hours a day. That means the factories will shut down.
Hmm.
So you don't really know what would happen if you break up a company until it actually happens. It's possible that Android or like the entire Pixel division, if it were broken off, could become like a really interesting company that does smart home and phones and maybe TVs and stuff.
Hmm.
But we haven't let them really like spread their wings and fly.
And I will also say I've complained a lot about Google as a product company. I think they are very bad as a consumer product company, especially when it comes to hardware, and just making things that they just kind of kill off. Um, Google as a company didn't start out doing that, right? Google was a search company. That was their thing. Then they became an advertising company. And then the mobile web started becoming a thing, and they saw what Apple was doing. They were like, okay, yes, let's start making devices too. Initially, that was through partners. That was through like Motorola and LG and everybody. So they have been really, really late to making their own hardware. I don't think they ever got the hang of it. Look at what happened to Nest and just kind of a disaster that was. Fitbit kind of got absorbed into the whole Google thing. Um, there is a good argument to like carve out the device side of the company or carve out what Android is and let the search and advertising part of the company be its own thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think that could ultimately be better for consumers because then then they can then the hardware people can actually do some good user interface and user experience work without being like be beholden to what the middle managers and the other higher ups want, which
true.
from all the reporting is the constant problem with Google. Is
And would
that
we be
yeah.
more likely to see those cute little marshmallow cars actually on the road if Google were only focusing on Google stuff rather than absolutely everything under the Alphabet umbrella?
Yeah, yeah, and also I don't think like yeah, Google is Alphabet, but even that like rebranding never really took, right? It was more of a conceptual thing, whereas when Facebook rebranded as Meta and became its own thing, like it was very much okay. This is actually the guiding force of like what the company is going to do. Say what you will about Facebook and Meta, like at least Mark Zuckerberg's crazy idea to rebrand itself for the metaverse actually put them in a good position for VR, AR, maybe AI stuff.
Yeah,
What is Alphabet? It's just a soup of companies. Like that's
yeah,
really that's really all it is. It doesn't really actually mean anything. So yeah, we've talked about Google search getting worse. We've talked about so many experiences getting worse. Chrome eating up all your RAM. Um, there is a good argument that just by having these people focus on their own things without building in interoperability between all their different fingers, that we'd ultimately have better products. So we shall see. I do want to bring in a good legal expert to talk about this too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, we haven't seen a actually huge antitrust case in a while. The people who watched like Ma Bell be broken up, they're in nursing homes now.
They are. Well, I watched the Microsoft antitrust trial, which was the other big
Yeah,
tech
but
one, and
Microsoft,
that led to
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah,
Led to
nothing
no
happened with
It was
Microsoft.
a slap on the wrist fine, and it was like, "Okay, Microsoft, you gotta make people choose their browsers, right?" 10 years later, basically over 10 years later after that happened, I was a young blogger writing up the news in, like, 2010s, like, "Ah, yes, Microsoft is finally responding to the end of the antitrust inquiry," where they were, determined to be monopolizing with Internet Explorer and having that bundled. By the time any action happened, it didn't make a difference. I do wonder if the DOJ has, like, taken all this in, and it's just like, maybe we should be a little more proactive and a little more forceful about how we push these things. It is we don't know what'll happen. We don't know how it'll affect, like, the free market or whatever, but I also think, like, we have seen these services degrade so much because of Google's own monopoly on search, and also like now they're just so focused on AI, are they going to be caring about fixing these other product issues? I don't really think so. I don't know. Okay, speaking of Google, by the way,
Yeah.
like there was a bunch of other news going around.
Two Nobels were Google related
Two
this
Nobels
year.
Google related. Demis Hassabis, the head of Google DeepMind, that is their AI arm. So it's the Google AI stuff. Won a Nobel Prize in
Hold on for a
chemistry.
second.
Yep.
We're having video issues with your video now.
Okay. Am I frozen? Oh yeah, that is
Yep,
an
you're
easy
frozen.
fix. That is an easy fix
Yep.
because I could just reset that.
We are fixing it.
We are fixing.
It's good that all of these problems are happening during an episode where we're just like, oh, let's let it be loose. Let's talk about the news. Let's do like a little coffee chat or something
Yep.
versus like a couple of weeks ago or I mean, actually the time we had Bill Nye on was its own bundle of problems, but that was 2020 related
And we were
problems.
troubleshooting. We were troubleshooting Bill Nye, and also he had bad internet. I'm very certain that Bill Nye had like a over 5-year-old router, kind of
Yeah.
trying to do all this stuff. Love the man. Love his like continued message. Okay, I'm gonna keep
Okay,
going from
so
where I was.
the video is good now. So you were talking
Yep,
about
Demis.
Demis and
Yeah,
Demis, whatever.
I was meant to look up how you pronounce his name, so
Mm.
sorry about that. But essentially, Google's DeepMind AI head, this is a guy not directly working on physics, is one of two people who won a Nobel Prize chemistry award. That's just okay. That's funny. I think specifically because of how DeepMind has like helped the development of certain things in chemistry. I don't know if you've
Help
seen
the
more on that.
development of a modeling
Mhm.
program for protein folding.
There you go.
So the really funny thing about this is that hopefully in the next few weeks we're going to have a segment on the show about protein folding and distributed computing because months ago someone emailed us asking a question about whether or not folding at home is still relevant
Hmm.
in the age of like AI modeling of similar biological processes. And I was like, hey, that's really interesting. Like I did a little bit of research on it, and then we just like ended up getting pulled away from that question by the tides of following weekly news.
Yeah.
Now, since we had a episode where it seemed like we had a space for another subject, I was like, okay, let's look into this again. So I started looking into it this week, and then literally yesterday, Wednesday, October 9th, they announced that DeepMind founders and higher ups won the Nobel Prize for protein folding. So this is really interesting. I hope to get someone to talk really knowledgeably about this on sometime
Hmm.
soon. The prize was Demis Hassabis, John Jumper, and then a guy who is a professor at the University of Washington who has done similar work with like machine learning, figuring out protein folding. So
These all really seem like Nobel Prizes for AI. Is the weird thing. Like the other one we want to bring up is the Nobel Prize in physics went to AI developers John Hopfield and Jeffrey Hinton.
can
Jeffrey
we stop
Hinton.
for a second
Yep,
because your video stopped again?
that is weird. I do have a fan on my camera because the camera overheats. Let me just switch to. I don't know what's going on with NVIDIA Broadcast. Let me switch just straight to not NVIDIA Broadcast. How about that?
Thank you for bearing with us, chat.
Here's plain video, less nice background blur. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that seems to work. I'm
Yeah.
looking at our video manager. Oh, and now it's popped up on YouTube also.
Okay. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna go back to what I was saying there.
Yeah, so just take a step back and
Mhm.
reintroduce the idea
Mhm.
of Google winning another prize for physics.
Yeah. We also saw the news that well, one of somebody who used to work at Google also won a Nobel Prize in physics. It's Geoffrey Hinton, who he left Google last year. We talked about there were a lot of articles about him talking about the dangers of developing AI, but he and his team, I believe, were one of the first to start doing the initial technology around machine learning, or at least what was it neural nets. Like the idea of like building for a neural net was something he had worked on. What is interesting here, both like so really AI being highlighted in the Nobel Prizes. Does everybody remember why the Nobel Prize is a thing at all?
Because the guy who invented dynamite said, "Hey, maybe I've done more harm than good, so I'd like to award people doing more good than harm."
So anyway, those examples of AI certainly like could be used for good, like better chemistry modeling, better protein folding modeling. But it does feel a little weird now that we're like, yeah, yeah, give AI all the things. Surely
And
this will be a net good for humanity. Mhm.
something that really strikes me about this is that the Nobel Prizes are usually really okay with being a bit behind the curve.
Mhm.
So a scientific discovery might have happened, and then, like 10 or 15 years later, the Nobel Committee will look at,
Mhm.
everything that happened in the wake of this scientific breakthrough. Let's say it's in, X-ray crystallography a long time ago, or gene editing with CRISPR.
Mhm.
Um, like 10, 15 years ago. They are totally okay with not like giving the award to like the newest hottest thing, which makes me wonder, do they know something that we don't? Is
I
this like an actual
Mhm.
I don't know, way of like heralding in like, okay, yeah, guys, we are in a new era. Like we are giving out a couple of Nobel Prizes for artificial intelligence related stuff because it is that big a deal.
Mhm. It feels like an early like, they just don't wanna be left out, just so that they're doing this. You should read the description of why these 2 guys were awarded the prize in physics.
Yeah, so the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said that it awarded the prize to John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton. This is the Nobel Prize in Physics because they used tools from physics to develop methods that are the foundation of today's powerful machine learning. And that's revolutionizing. It is revolutionizing science, engineering, and daily life. That is and very interesting stretch. Again, like the Nobel Prizes are usually given out
Yeah.
for like a new method of figuring out how like a subatomic particle moves or
Mhm.
something. Like a really novel approach to some tiny little thing um like that helps you figure out the nature of the universe in that way. Usually comes out of CERN, does not come out of Palo Alto or Mountain View.
Okay. We're just gonna keep moving on. It's just I do feel like yeah, we would have maybe waited a little until like generative AI and a lot of the machine learning tools like genuinely did more for our society, but I feel like they're
Okay,
just
but
trying
on
to
the
get ahead
other
of things.
hand,
Yeah.
like generative AI, that's like a relatively new thing. So the Nobel Prize is not being awarded for that. It's being awarded for maybe all of the advances that have been happening in machine learning
Yeah,
for the
the
last like
neural
25, 30
networking
years.
stuff, the stuff that
Yeah.
has kind of gotten us to this point, the idea
Yeah.
of training a computer like this. We have talked a little bit about quantum computing and what that could mean, and to me, that feels like the thing that could actually be really useful for science is if we could ever get a handle on it. But that is the idea of like, information, points existing as like super states, where it's not just binary bits. And
My not
from
so hot take is that we're
Mhm,
not going to get anywhere close to AGI until we actually have a quantum computer that works, and we
mhm.
barely can get qubits to work right now.
We can barely get Cupid's work. That's the whole thing. But I do feel like those 2 may be interconnected. I don't know about AGI, but, I've read enough about the singularity in my lifetime. Mr. Michio Kaku, who was on the show at one point too, was a big, like, proponent of that. Um, to think, like, people have been kind of hoping for this thing. I just don't know if it's legit or if it's like, people waiting for the second coming of Jesus or something. Like, it feels a
It
little
is
bit of
pretty
like that.
religious, but you
Feels a
know
little
what?
bit like that. Mhm.
Other people feel religious about Nintendo, and Nintendo released a new piece of hardware, but it's not the Switch 2. Tell us more about it.
It's not the Switch 2. I don't know if you all saw this because this just dropped yesterday, but Nintendo unveiled Alarmo, a $100 motion sensing alarm clock. It looks like a cute little. It's round, has like Nintendo fonts on it, like for the time and everything. You can choose different themes from different games, like Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 3, Pikmin 4, and Ring Fit Adventure. You can set wake up times. So what's kind of cool, it's similar to the Amazon, motion sensing alarm clock we've talked about before. It starts to make the noise of the, like, game you choose, and as you move, as you, like, toss and turn in bed trying to wake up, it'll start making noises. So, like, the Mario theme makes, like, coin noises as you're, like, tossing around, and when you get up and leave the bed, there's, like, a big celebratory noise, at least according to the video. So
Yeah,
that's
and as I understand it,
yeah.
it's not just making coin noises as
Mhm.
you roll around in the middle of the night. It's like
Mhm.
kind of trying to get you out of bed, so the more that you're
Yes.
moving, it's rewarding that behavior.
It seems like it also does track your sleep cycle a little bit too. So, like, there's, like,
But
some data that's
it
gonna be happening there.
doesn't have integration with Pokemon Sleep. That seems like a missed opportunity.
This
The
is,
article on Engadget talks
yeah,
about, like, "Hey, if you want, like, Nintendo-themed sleep tracking, use Pokemon Sleep."
yeah.
It seems like such an easy slam dunk to just put those 2 together.
You had one job, Nintendo. You had one job. Let's see, can I
But
full screen it? Yeah.
otherwise, this just feels like surprisingly Nintendo. Like, every now and then, Nintendo comes out with just a thing out of total left field.
You can
Labo,
swip to the video, by the way. I'm playing that, so hopefully it won't screw
yeah.
up. Mhm.
Well, let's see. Well, we've got okay, yeah, we've got the, video on the stream now. Um, what's another example of something that came out before Labo? Because Nintendo has been doing this for a long time.
Just like a standalone. I mean, the Game& and Watch stuff, those were, like, little portable tiny
Yeah.
things. But I think it's something like Ring Fit Adventure, where Nintendo does a thing and you just look at it and go like, "Huh, okay, that's weird." But then, like, it sort of percolates in your brain a little and you're like, "That's actually pretty cool. I would actually like that." Remember the whole, like, it was at least like 2 or 3 months, Ben, where people were really hot on Ring Fit Adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was
Was
that
that
like
around the time of the pandemic? It
it
might
was
have
like
been.
early pandemic too. It was like
Yeah,
good timing of us just all being stuck at home, like, "Okay, Nintendo made this weird squishy circle thing. That's cool."
but, like, also people were wondering, like, "How do I work out if I'm not at the gym?"
Oh man, that's the whole thing. I swear, did Engadget's Aaron Saporis end up in this commercial? Because
Yeah, no,
that
that
is
does look a
basically
lot
Aaron.
like him.
That is basically Aaron.
That's so funny.
Oh man,
Uh,
but this thing looks cool. I also love all the bedrooms they set up too. Like, this is a very
yeah.
Nintendo thing of, like, really meticulous lived-in environments.
It feels very Japan just to, like, be
Some
a
of it,
game
yeah,
company that just comes out of left field and, like, does an alarm clock.
does an alarm
Um,
clock.
so intelligent, kind of intelligent clock to Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence finally arrives on October 28th. What do you think about that?
I mean, I just want to bring it up because, hey, we have a time, we have a general sense of when it's coming. I've been testing out these features for a while. And I think a lot of them are really cool. The notification summaries, Ben, it's so good because, like, sometimes friends would just be like texting, right? Like, you get 5 or 10 texts all at once and you're like, what is happening? And you take one look down, it's like somebody's mad about this, yada yada yada. Like, these summaries have generally been very good for me, and I think that stuff is good. Removing background objects from photos, good stuff. Just really, really helpful in the moment
What's that
for
feature called on Pixel phones or
I
Android in
forget what it's
general?
called. Don't ask me about Android specifics, but
Okay,
yes,
because I was
there
going
was like a magic erase option there
yeah, I was
too.
going to say Magic Eraser, but that is a cleaning product.
That's a cleaning thing. But it's something like that too. But it works really well, like, in terms of, like, highlighting a specific object and, like, removing it. There are instances where it's too big and it can't, like, extrapolate, like, what should be a background, so it looks really messy. But sometimes, like, it just, like, smooths out a bright, ugly object in the background with just, like, general unfocused stuff, and that actually may be better for a particular photo. So, and I like those things. I think people are really going to enjoy this. If you want to try them out early, you can just go install the public test release. That's better than the developer candidate stuff I've been using. So you can get a good look at this. We're not getting the series stuff yet. The features will all be rolled out piecemeal. I do have the new Siri that I've been testing just in terms of like the look of it. And also that is very cool. I've talked about that being cool. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Ben, like this is probably a good year for you to upgrade. Your poor
Yeah,
little iPhone SE2. See what you can get for that. Or that could just be your China phone,
yeah.
whenever that happens.
Yeah, whenever I bring it to China and I don't want to get spied on. But I'm also thinking like it's just good to have kind of like a backup phone knocking around because I
It is.
also have like my old iPhone SE. I actually still have every iPhone that I've gotten like up until or like I
Mhm.
officially switched in 2014. So I have a 5C, an SE, an SE2, and it might be time for a big boy phone sometime soon.
Let me see here. We reviewed the iPhone SE2. So let's look at Ben's phone, everybody. It's only 2 years old. It's not that bad.
Oh no, but I don't have. Wait, no,
You have the SE 2022, right?
no, SE 2020. So
Good
that's
God, Ben.
SE2, not
Good
SE.
God.
The
Okay, I'm
I
going back 4 years ago.
yeah, the SE 2022 is SE3, not SE2.
Okay. Ben, upgrade. What are you doing? Mr. Chris Velasco, we miss his face. Oh man. They're comparing it to like an iPhone 10, iPhone 11.
Yeah,
What is happening here?
lo siento.
Yes, everyone, listeners, please, podcast.engadget.com. Tell Ben to upgrade, and he'll be okay. He'll be okay with a slightly larger phone,
Yeah, I'll
and no
be
home button.
totally. Oh yeah, Chris was on this
Chris was on this.
video. That was a while ago. Okay, so let's talk about Halo.
Let's talk
343
about Halo.
Industries is now Halo Studios. How do you feel about that?
I feel good about that. I'm gonna start playing this video too.
I'm pretty sure that the reason that they rebranded from 343 to Halo Studios is only because 343 Industries has become known as the one that released the bad Halo games, and they want to
Yeah.
distance themselves from that.
I mean, yeah, there is sort of that too, but I think like the sometimes a rebranding is good because I don't think the people who were initially at 343 when the whole like Bungie break off happened, like that was when Bungie left, right? And then they went off to do Destiny and do their own thing. So Microsoft
Mhm.
kept the Halo brand, kept the Halo stuff. That team became 343 Industries. They had a bad run
Yeah.
because they were so trapped in terms of doing what Halo did in an era where Call of Duty was coming up, shooters were getting faster and more dynamic. I'm gonna just flip forward a little bit here. So basically, I just want to say, like, we saw this news that 343 has talked about rebranding to Halo Studios, but also, more interestingly, it's moving to Unreal Engine 5, and they produced a demo video that shows us like what
It
Unreal
is
Engine
very
5
pretty.
looks, and it's very pretty. It looks very unhalo. It looks almost like it's just so detailed and photorealistic and lifelike. The engine they were using before, people were saying like there is stuff in there going back to Halo Reach, going back to like
Mm.
when 343 initially started working on the game. So that made
Was
it
that their
really
own engine?
that was a custom engine too, which is no
Mm.
developer wants to do that. Everybody
Yeah.
goes to Unreal or other things like because they wanna have a platform that's easier to maintain and manage, and they don't want to do all that work themselves. I think Capcom was one of the rare ones to have like a good hit with its own RE engine, which started with like Resident Evil 7, right? And that ended up being used across so many other things. But the footage we see here looks good. They don't look like Halo environments. They look like more detailed. Um, there is they talked about several games being made in the Halo universe right now. I've got a lot of feelings about Halo because I spent a lot of my time in college playing the first Halo in like local, LAN matches with other people
Yeah.
at college, and that was before Xbox Lives, that was before online multiplayer. It was just people gathering around the TV. You could hear shouting in other dorm rooms down the hall when you beat
Yep.
somebody. There was like a fun visceral element to that.
I really
Halo,
wonder what Master Chief is going to look like with that much detail. Like,
so
is
much
it going to look a little bit Unreal, like
Have you seen the show, Ben? Like, it's
Unreal,
there.
Unreal Tournament. No,
A little Unreal.
Unreal Engine. Wow.
Unreal Engine. The show gave you a pretty good look at like what a super realistic Master Chief could be like.
Yeah,
The main thing is like new engine's good. I think it's a good thing to like have a fresh start and also being able to use more modern technology. Yeah,
and
rebrand
also,
is good.
why don't
Mhm,
you decentralize the Master Chief? I know that the Master Chief is going to be like your big thing, and that's what sells like all of the other merch, the shirts,
mhm.
the like little statues of John 117 and all of that. But you know what the people actually want? Unreal Engine, excuse me,
Mhm.
Unreal Engine Halo ODST 2.
I mean, yeah, like let's talk about ODST, which was a cool experiment of a game, like kind of novelistic, had a cool jazz soundtrack. That's like very
Yeah.
late era Bungie. No Master Chief, no Master
Yep.
Chief at all. Like was it
No
told a very
Spartans at
specific
all,
story.
right?
No Spartans. Yeah, that was about humans, right? ODST was
Yep.
mainly humans.
That was the Helldivers of
Mhm,
the or the Starship Troopers of the Halo
mhm.
universe.
This whole thing is sort of like the Star Wars problem, right? Where the franchise became so big, it is really hard to steer the ship into doing new things and exciting things. And
Mhm.
Microsoft is not a company that's really known for taking chances too, especially with a flagship franchise. But maybe things have gotten so bad because Halo Infinite took so long to develop, was such a mess to develop. I actually really like that game. I think the single player campaign is a lot of fun. It's very open world. I've done almost 100 hours of multiplayer in that game. Like,
Oh,
it's
that's
just a
great.
good, fun experience because I miss Halo. I like Halo quite a bit as, like, an experience. So, Infinite was good, but was not the success they needed. It was delayed by a year. It didn't arrive when the new Xboxes arrived, so Microsoft needs something that can kinda help them. Listen, open it up. Give us another ODST. Maybe do something cool. Do don't just do Halo, like, CG tactics like that. What were those called? The
Oh
Halo
yeah,
Tactics games.
it was. I think it was literally just Halo Tactics.
Yeah, it was Halo Tactics, but, if you're gonna do tactics, experiment a little bit with the forum. Give us something that looks like a 2D tactics games because that's what people want right now between,
Yeah.
like, stuff we've seen like Project Triangle. Give us like a Halo, visual novel of some kind because, one thing that really pulled me into that universe were the early books, which really gave us some background that the games didn't really cover. So,
Oh yeah.
there's
So
a
there
lot of
was Halo
opportunity here.
Tactics, and then there was, I think, Halo Wars
Halo
too.
Wars, yes. That's the whole thing. So anyway, dealing with Halo. Halo's good stuff. I think this is a good sign. It will be years before any of this actually leads to anything. I don't know. Like Halo Infinite was supposed to be this like thing that existed for a while, forever Halo, right? Halo that you keep playing, you keep doing the battle pass. Maybe they add more content to it or something. I don't know if the idea is that they will eventually change the engine for Halo Infinite. That seems like too much work for a game that they've already poured too much time into. But I would love to see like what they do with this. I don't know, like a classic normal Halo game starring Master Chief just seems like the worst thing to do at this point. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And if you don't take any risks on introducing a new character,
Hmm.
then you also don't have the payoff of, possibly reviving the franchise. It's a real opportunity dilemma.
For sure. You can switch the tab by
Yep.
the way, switch the view.
Switching it around.
I think we can start wrapping up.
Oh,
That was
well,
kind of our
yeah, you gotta do working on all that stuff.
I got nothing for working on. That's
Okay,
fine.
so let's just go straight to picks then.
Let's move on to our pop culture picks for the week. What do you got, Ben?
So a couple weeks ago, I saw this documentary called SEP! Exclamation point.
Mhm,
Um, it's about a table setting competition at the California State Fair. And it's not like classy table setting where you're using like fine china and everything. It is like its own world of God, the taste is honestly just so bad. It
mhm,
feels like a lot of these people are, grown-ups doing like high school dioramas or
mhm,
something. And it was an interesting look into a very specific world, just like, any other documentary about competitions, especially. There have been a bunch on dog shows. Sideways was a fiction movie, but it was about, the wine industry, right?
mhm.
Um, but I feel like it didn't go deep enough into the actual personal lives of the people who were competing.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they doing this? What's the background? What is their like overall life background? Some of them say that they spend like thousands of dollars on setting these tables every year, and um they might do multiple competitions a year too. So what's going on here? There was this one couple. Um, the wife was, a yearly competitor in the table setting competition, and her husband was just like, yeah, I participate. Whenever they had him in the sit down confessional interviews, it seemed like he was really gritting his teeth, but I wanted to know so much more about that. Like, so if you want like a fun documentary that's a little bit like reality TV, check out Set. I think it's on like Travel Channel or something. It's also it is from the Travel Channel. I know that
Mm-hmm.
it's on Apple TV.
Travel Channel still making stuff, huh?
Yeah.
I only started watching them for like Bourdain's thing at that point.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
no
Yeah. Yeah.
reservations. Good stuff. Okay, thank you for that, Ben. I would never think of watching a table setting documentary. I want to quickly shout out the new Uzumaki show. This is the latest Junji Ito adaptation after we've had so many bad adaptations. This is one like co-produced by Adult Swim too, so it has like a higher budget, or like supposedly like more went into this than the other ones, like the Junji Ito series on Netflix, which was terrible and really crummy. This is only going to be 4 episodes, and it's already like mired in controversy. I love the very first episode. Uzumaki is a story about a town that's infested with spirals. I don't know if you're aware of this story, Ben, but it is
Yeah.
Junji Ito goes full horror, in fun, cosmic, creepy body horror ways, and
Yep.
Uzumaki is like his masterpiece, right? The
Mhm.
first episode covers like I think some of the more like well-known the early stories of the manga. Um, I've not seen the second episode yet, but immediately people were like freaking out because the first episode is really well animated. It has the stark black and white style of his illustrations.
Yeah, it looks like the manga page just became animated, which
Yeah,
is really,
just
really
moving
cool.
and really nice flow, like hair moves, character moves. There's a lot of like nice detail to it. Um, from
And
what
then
I've
there was a
seen,
big fall off, wasn't there?
there was a huge fall off in episode 2. People are freaking out about it. I've also seen some people say it's not as bad as you say. But even I think the showrunner was talking about like, yeah, they were doing the best they could with what they had, and I think the first episode took forever, took a lot of money to make, and they had to like move it along much more quickly. And I don't think the studio wanted to give them more time to work on it faster too. So once again, another like Junji Ito adaptation that's like going through kind of a mess. But the first episode is good. So at least go check that out. It's streaming on Max, the one to watch for HBO right now, or if you have Adult Swim, it's there too. So, I was gonna play the trailer and then I thought better because I don't wanna inflict
Don't wa-
Junji Ito's imagery on people if they're
Yeah.
not ready for it.
All right, chat. We're gonna stick around for a little bit longer, but we're ending
Yes.
the like audio version of the podcast
You can
now.
rap. You can
So,
do the rap too.
yep.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, everyone. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our former managing editor, Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by me, Ben Elman. You can find Devindra
At Devindra on Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, all the fun places. I also did a guest spot on the Extra Hot Great podcast this week, so check me out there. I talked about the new HBO or the new Max series, The Franchise, which is the superhero spoof sort of thing. It's a lot of fun, so check out that. I also podcast about movies and TV at the Filmcast, thefilmcast.com.
The best way to reach me is sending us an email at podcast@engadget.com. I'm the one checking that inbox the most often. Leave us a review on iTunes and subscribe on anything that gets podcasts. That includes Spotify.
Thanks, folks. We're out. All right. Oh, Mark Dell, glad you saw me on Twit. That was a lot of fun. Go listen to their Twitch just did their 1000th episode with like the people who were there at the beginning, and
I'm
good God.
surprised they haven't hit that already.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's basically took them almost 20 years to do that.
Mhm.
My movie podcast, like we are up in the hundreds and we've been doing it for almost 15 years. So it takes a while with a weekly
Okay.
show. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it now. 1,000 weeks, if it's a weekly show, is 19.17 years. So it's actually just on time.
just on time. That's the whole thing. Sorry about the tech issues, folks. I will like go in and chop out the bad parts of the stream if I can.
Yeah.
You could do the ends really easily, but the middle sections are really hard to chop in YouTube.
Hmm.
All right. How's chat doing? Thank you all for
Yeah.
joining us. I'm going to have to run by 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Dell says just do Halo Mass Effect crossover, make Shepard and Master Chief kiss already.
Give us a proper Halo RPG. Come
Yeah.
on. The kids are waiting for Dragon Age 4. And they just loved what was the other one?
Yeah, there are a
What
lot
are the
of
good ones?
possibilities inside the Halo universe if you just break yourself out of the idea of the like original Halo games.
Yeah. Get somebody with like the who's the guy that does the Nier games? He's a known
You're talking about like
Yokotaro, Mr.
Nier
Yokotaro.
Automata?
He would never make a Halo game. But
Mm.
somebody with his level of crazy, just being like, here, make a Halo game that can shift formats, tell crazy stories, do really interesting things. People may be interested. Nier Automata is like one of the best games I've ever played.
I mean, I was doing a quick Google for what the Halo Tactics game was called, and I saw some people on Reddit talking about how badly they want a Halo game in the style of XCOM. You know,
Sure.
what if you had like, a Spartan team from like the
Isn't that
Reach or
essentially Halo
pre-Reach
Wars? Or I
era
guess
of
no.
Spartan?
Halo Wars was like more
I think it
RTS,
was more of an
not
RTS.
tactics.
It's like
Okay.
similar to StarCraft, Warcraft, rather
Yeah.
than mission-based, like choose your team for a turn-based
Yes.
like
Yes.
tactical thing like XCOM does.
Give us one of those. Like clearly, XCOM is just dudes, fighting aliens. That's
Yep.
Halo. That's just
What is
Halo.
Halo but dudes fighting aliens?
Come on, make it happen. There's so much they could do. It's more like what is Microsoft willing to do, or what will people actually play? Because I thought Infinite was pretty good. It's just also a bit out of style right now.
So Simon B asked about adding upcoming live podcast recordings to their calendars.
Hmm.
You emailed us about that. We're aware of it. We're trying to see if we can make it work.
We could do a shared calendar, but that
Yeah,
is a thing that requires maintenance and stuff. But yeah, maybe we'll try it. I was looking to see how other podcasters do it, and nobody
yeah.
really does that because it's kind of annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that we were talking about is like YouTube basically does that. And
Hmm.
so it would be great. We were just talking about like Google like
Yeah.
product cross function stuff, and maybe if they focused a little bit more on their interoperability between their products, you would be able to set something from YouTube on your Google Calendar, or your calendar of choice,
Hmm.
especially if it gets broken up as a monopoly. Maybe they'll be forced to allow you to add something to your calendar of choice, and then it would actually work if
Is there?
only they weren't focused on
Yeah.
50 million things at once.
The thing is, I know people get an alert when we actually push live. I would love for something to send an alert, like when I schedule a post to go live, which is usually Wednesday nights at some point.
Mhm.
The other thing is, I wonder if you can make an if this then that tool that
Mm,
automatically creates a calendar entry when one of your favorite podcasts schedules a live event. Like that's
yeah,
really all we need. That's what you really need.
yep.
Google Shared Calendar is like less of the thing. Yeah, setting the alarm is a good idea. No Discord group, no thank you. No more Discords, no more Slacks. Goddamn. I don't want to be in any more
I was
chats where
so
I'm getting pinged.
surprised when I, like, first started on Discord, and I was like, "Oh, wow, this is literally just Slack, but for not work."
This is just IRC. Yeah, this is just
Yeah,
IRC. We're just moving fast. You could do a lot of cool stuff.
yeah.
Anyway, we'll think about that.
Yep.
I would look into if this then that integrations into things you like if you have a specific need. I understand like it is tough when we change the timing. Like that's the thing. Like sometimes we try to start at 10:45. That was because like Sherlin needs more time at the beginning, but also if we have a West Coast guest, sometimes we start a little later to make life a little easier for them. So It's kind of all over the place. But
Yep.
thank you all for joining us. Whoever's
Yeah, we
here
got to
right
end
now.
the stream
Yeah.
in time for Devendra to get to something else. So thanks everybody for watching. Video comes to you via Devendra. Audio also comes to you via Devendra. So if you have some complaints about that, direct them to him.
It's not me or my internet.
I'm the good
AT&T. AT&T heard us complaining about Ma Bell. Oh no.
Camera switching and everything like the audio podcast comes to you via me. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, folks. We're out.